Alright, yo, it's your boy Yosh Kid Neo, and we're back with a one-on-one with Reed to fill in some backstory stuff. Okay. So, when we last left Oswald, he was on a ship with Captain Raymond, heading back to Siege the Crimson's fortress. And when he arrived, he was properly introduced to Siege himself, and told that Siege had a connection with his family, and now that they were destroyed, he feels it best to train Oswald to make sure such tragedies don't happen again, because since your whole kingdom has fallen, he feels that you have a sense of, not necessarily regret, but a yearning to make sure that that does not happen to anyone else. And due to the fact that he is a member of Bella Light, he wants to recruit you and train you up to become one of the leaders of Bella Light, maybe, if you end up proving yourself worthy of such a title. Because Bella Light's whole premise is to make sure that evil does not sweep the lands and reduce it to crumble. After your conversation, he dismisses you, and Captain Raymond shows you to your quarters. You will be living in the barracks. He does not show any special treatment for new recruits, no matter what bloodline they come from. Everyone is pretty much treated the same until you earn the right to be treated differently, whether that's good or bad. Captain Raymond, as he shows you to your quarters, he opens up a door. Here, Oswald, this is where you will be staying. You've got bunkmates William and Jeremy. William, Jeremy! They stand up from their bunks. Sir, this is Oswald. Please treat him with respect and show him the ropes, especially where the mess hall and latrines are. Tomorrow I will give you a full report, Oswald, on what you are to be doing in your time of transition. Other than that, no issues, please. And then he begins to walk away, leaving you with Jeremy and William.
What is the time of day right now, roughly?
It'd probably be around 3 o'clock in the afternoon or so.
Alright, I guess Oswald will approach William and Jeremy.
Ah, so we got a new fancy puppet, huh? Your name's Oswald, they said.
Yes, I am Oswald.
Well, my name's William, and I'm kind of a big deal around here. So how about you do as I say, and we won't have an issue, eh?
As long as you don't tell me to do something I am unwilling to do, I will have no issues with you either.
Ah, beautiful. That's the good way to see it, right, Jeremy? And he looks over to Jeremy, and Jeremy kind of doesn't really seem to like William that much, and he hesitantly agrees with him. Yeah, William, yeah. Right, well, he did tell us to show you the mess hall, so why don't you unpack your things real quick, and then we'll go and show you where you're gonna go eat.
Alright, Oswald will put his things down wherever his bed area is.
Okay. Looking in the room, there are 4 bunks. One of them's on the long side of the wall, and the other on the short side of the wall. So as you walk into the room, on the left-hand side is 2 bunks, right in front of you is 2 bunks. And the room is roughly, it's honestly pretty crammed. You can tell that if 4 people were to be living in here, there's not that much room for them to move around and stuff like that, unless they're on their own beds individually. There are tiny little cupboards for you to put your own personal items. You see 2 of them have been taken by Jeremy and William, and then there are 2 others that are remained open. Oh, and you can take the bunk over Jeremy. The bunk over me is reserved for whoever else comes next.
Oh, you said bunks? That's
Yeah, bunks.
Stacked on each other?
Yeah.
And, are they in the corner of the room, kinda, or?
William's standing, so William has taken the bunk that is on the far side of the room. and he's standing there kind of in your way to make sure that you don't try to put your stuff on the top bunk, whereas Jeremy's sitting on the bottom bunk of the other bed to the left of you.
Alright, I guess Oswald will just above Jeremy's then.
Okay. Alright, there we go. Look, he listens to orders. Now let's go ahead and show you where you're going to be eating now.
Yeah, Oswald's gonna go ahead and follow. Out of character, with the crap Oswald dealt with, he's not gonna care about beds and things like that. He's got more things on his mind.
I mean, I figured so. William points to the door, and Jeremy starts to lead as you follow Jeremy, and William comes up behind, closing the door. Alright, Jeremy, show him the special mess hall, shall we? William, are you sure we want to do that? He is new. Jeremy, did you just question me? No. Right this way, Oswald.
Oswald's gonna ask, what do you mean by special?
Oh, all the special lapdogs get to eat here. Don't worry, it's quite tasty stuff. We're not a high enough status to do such things. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, so Oswald gets that. He meant the low end.
Yeah. So, as you exit the barracks, you walk outside, and let me get you on. Oh, I have to unarchive it. Fortress. This will make it a little easier.
Also, if I have to do any rolls and or just using my up-to-date character, since it is
yeah.
Do you want to do like any -1 or -2 just because I...
No, because most of it, like we'll make it to where it works. Like you won't obviously have all your runes and stuff. Let me get this. Because for some reason it deleted it when I archived it.
Isn't that what archive does?
No, it just puts it to where it's not loaded. So the way Roll20 does it when you archive it, like you can pull it out and it keeps all the assets there. It just makes it to where, because whenever I load up Roll20, all the maps and monster tokens and stuff that I have, like not archived, get loaded. So
okay,
the
yeah,
more stuff, yeah.
That'd be a huge memory dump.
Exactly. So for some reason when I opened this archive of Siege's Fortress, it was deleted. Anyway, you know the barracks are right around here. Don't worry about this.
Let me zoom out real quick.
Yeah, this is
Ignore the
not
legend.
correct. Yeah, ignore the legend. It's not correct. But this is the barracks that you are exiting. And as you walk out, you see a small little sparring station over here in the corner. You see a few soldiers over there practicing their movements and such. There's a couple practice dummies for archers lined up across here. And there's a couple folks that are just practicing their bow skills. There is a stable on this side where the horses and all those guys are being kept, and Jeremy is walking towards the stable. Alright, Oswald, right over there is the mess hall. And he's pointing sort of in this general direction. But as you approach closer and closer, you notice there's not very many people in this area. And right behind that door right there is the mess hall. So go ahead and open it, won't you?
Out of character, you said that was the stable?
Yeah, you notice like this whole area to be the stables, and William's pointing at this area, saying it's the mess hall.
Am I able, like, do I see horses?
Yeah, you see the horses. They're tied up and they're feasting on hay and stuff like that.
This does not look like a mess hall at all.
Hey, of course not, because you haven't opened the fucking door. Go ahead.
Very well. Oswald will begin to open the door.
So as you open up the door, go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw for me. So you open up the door, and looking inside, there are a couple different stacks of hay, and then there's all of the feces and such from the horses that has been piled up to be made into manure later. This is definitely not a mess hall, and the stench is quite becoming. You don't necessarily like it, of course, but the smells that you smelt as your hometown was burning are definitely not as bad as this. Yeah, that right there's your mess hall. And he goes in to do sort of a Spartan kick with your back turned to him. So go ahead and make a dexterity save with disadvantage.
Damn.
Yeah. So as he says that, you sort of start to turn around to question him why he brought you here, and then you notice his boot planting against the middle of your back as you fall forward, landing into a good pile of manure. As you fall, you start to stand up and try to brush off all of the manure, and you turn around, and William is cracking up. He fell for it. Oh, I love these new guys. It's so easy to make fun of them. Oh, man.
As he's laughing, Oswald is going to attempt to grab him and throw him into the pile.
Alright, go ahead and make a, should be, let's see, for a grapple, it is a athletics. So make an athletics check, which will be contested by his, he's going to use acrobatics. As you lunge forward with your hands to grab him, he sort of scoots out of the way and trips you with his foot, making you stumble. You're not going to get me in that manure, that's for sure. And then he starts to back away. Don't worry, we've got showers too. I can show you to those.
Oswald is going to look at Jeremy and ask Jeremy to take him to the shower.
Yeah, I'll take you. Nah, Jeremy. I'll tow him to the showers, don't you worry. Follow me then, Oswald. But please keep your distance. I don't really like the smell of you. And he starts to walk towards the middle of the courtyard. Jeremy comes up to you and says, I'm sorry about this. He does it to all the new recruits.
Don't worry about it. But, where are the showers?
Showers are actually back at the barracks on the back side of it, so he points towards this little house right here, which that is where William is headed towards. Now hurry up, let's go. Luckily there's an outside entrance to the showers right here. That way you can go ahead and make sure you don't track your scum throughout the barracks. And he walks over to the showers, he opens up the door, and inside is what you would expect a medieval shower room to look like. There's a couple troughs full of water, some wooden buckets and such, with a small little drain, sort of like canal, in the middle of it that leads towards what you would expect to be the sewers that run underneath the fortress. So yeah, once you wash yourself up, I'll actually show you the mess hall this time.
Oswald's just going to ignore him and go to the shower.
Okay. So Oswald walks in, Jeremy and William follow, and they show you where all, like, there are windows and such, but with the sun being directly up in the air, it's not lighting up the room well enough. So they light a little lantern in the middle of the shower so that it lights up the room. Yeah, that might be better for you to be able to see. I know how we humans, we can't see in the dark like some of those other creatures. Bloody things. But, yeah, go ahead and remove your clothes, and I'll show you where the washroom is for your clothes and such too. And Jeremy follows William as he opens up another room that's on the back side of where the showers are. You can wash all your clothing here. No one's going to do your own laundry, so better get used to doing it yourself. Other than that, we'll go ahead and leave you on to it, and we'll be back in. How long does it take you to shower, roughly?
Hold on. I wouldn't know how long Oswald normally showers.
Well, you can choose being royalty. He may have taken luxurious baths that took hours at a time, or if he's really still like the serious kind of loyalty or royalty, where he's like, yeah, showers are nice, but I got things to do. Then maybe take some 15-20 minutes.
I'll say with the mood he's in now, it'll be a serious kind for now. Maybe been luxury in the past, but
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Well, we're gonna go get some things real quick, and then we'll be right back. And then they promptly leave, leaving you to your own devices as you wash up. As the day goes on, William and Jeremy, they don't really mess with you much anymore for the day. They feel that throwing you in a pile of manure was pretty humiliating enough. They show you to the mess hall, which is right around this area. It's right by the courtyard where all of the soldiers train and stuff. There are various barracks throughout the fortress, but the main training ones, so the initiates, live here. So they show you to the mess hall, and then, no offense there, Oswald, but yeah, we can't sit and eat with you. It's not really good practice here around here to eat with the new folks, so if you can find a new friend, good for you. But we won't be joining you. And they go and hop in line. Jeremy kind of looks at you and says, sorry, and then walks away, following William. On the menu tonight is roast duck. Apparently the soldiers were pretty bountiful in their latest hunting expedition with baked potato and roasted carrots. Pretty delicious. You notice that based on this, it seems that Siege is pretty good towards his soldiers for sure. They're well fed as opposed to, I guess, what the common villager would have eaten in other villages that you've been through. The night goes on. You decide to go ahead and take a tour around town just to kind of get your bearings as to where you're at. You know that Siege's keep is right here. You know the local tavern is right here. A lot of the shops and stuff are right around this square area. And everything else in the back is kind of just like commoners' homes. There's a temple right here. So it even though it's a fortress, it is also pretty much like a town at the same time. So it's not just soldiers that live here, it's also common farmers and trade folk. Is there anything Oswald wishes to do, or would he rather just go ahead and go to sleep?
Where would the library be in here?
Let's see, where did I put the library? Because I changed it. I believe we put the library right around here. But yeah, more or less there is a library.
What would the time of day be roughly?
After eating dinner, it's probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Alright, well, Oswald, I guess he would, for the remainder of the evening, he would head off to the library.
Alright.
Maybe hoping reading and studying will help distract his mind from, you know, the events that happened recently.
Gotcha. So you walk up and you see the library, and the windows are pretty dusty from what you see on the outside. What you're gathering is it's not a very well used library, but nonetheless, there's no indication that it has not been used for some like an extended period of time to where there's nothing in it. So you go up to the door and you open it, and as you walk in, you see sort of a desk area to the right with an old man sort of sitting in a chair. book open in front of him, and he is snoring. As he's sitting there sleeping, you notice that these shelves are full of different tomes and novels. There are, I don't remember how many bookcases exactly, but there are a pretty good amount of books, probably at least 1,000 or 2,000 books in this library. Plenty of places for you to sit as well. Do you disturb the old man, or do you continue to let him sleep?
Does the old man appear like a kind of like a librarian or the guy who would be in charge?
He does look as such, being that he is the only one in this establishment as of right now, besides you, of course.
I guess Oswald will go up to the table and he'll, not wanting to like touch him or be physical with him, he'll like, I guess, knock on the table, see if the noise will wake him up.
Alright, so you... You do it again. And you sort of see the gentleman starting to wake up. He's slowly opening his eyes.
Oh! Oh, yes! Whew. Must have fallen asleep yet again. Hello, a visitor. You're the first one in weeks, actually, that's been here to the library. Nice to meet you.
He holds out his hand.
My name is Odrix.
The name is Oswald.
Ah.
And he shakes.
Very nice to meet you, Oswald. I've not seen your face around town before, and I have lived here for quite some time. What brings you to town? Are you new here?
Yes, I am. I have just arrived. I hail from a town of Arion. Does Oswald know like the direction?
Yeah, you would know the Arion is in the far east, across the Great Sea.
Alright, so yeah, he'll let him know that he came from the Far East.
Oh, so not only are you a traveler, but you're pretty exotic, too. I've not met many folks from the East. What brings you all the way out here?
I have been recruited by Captain Raymond. He, along with Siege, feel I would be a good
Oh, well, if Captain Raymond if you caught Captain Raymond's eye, then obviously you've got something special about you, that is for sure. Captain Raymond is one of the greatest men I've ever met. Not many soldiers come through the library. Is there something particular you're looking for? Please tell me you're not an envoy from Siege trying to kick me out and take away my books.
Not at all.
Oh, beautiful.
I don't know how to explain it, but like arcane, like how would that be like for book-wise if I were to try to ask this guy? Like he's gonna want to look for
if he's got any type of books that deal with magic or something like that.
more like it'd be like ancient magic, or magic that's old.
I've got a fairly old magic book. Hold on one second. And he stands up from his desk and walks to the far end of the library. More than likely, Oswald would follow. And he starts to look through all his books. Here it is. And he opens it up. Yes, this is the oldest magic book that I have. Here you go. It's a good read. I really like the portion about pulling a rabbit from the hat. That's my favorite magic trick.
Also, do you perchance have books that pertain to runes?
Runes? I think I know exactly what you're looking for. And he turns around and starts looking around. Maybe it's on the other side. Starts to walk around from various bookshelves.
Did he hand that first book to Oswald?
He did.
As well? Okay, because Oswald, he'll hold on to that one as well.
Rooms. Here we go. This one right here. Oh yes, talks about feng shui and all of that. Here you go. And he hands you a book. As you look at both of these books, the first one that he handed you was titled the Beginning Magician's Magic Tricks. You start to simmer through them, and you are looking at various sleight of hand ways of pulling rabbits out of a hat, of producing a bouquet of flowers from your sleeve, and card tricks. You think to yourself, why the hell did he give me this book? You look at the other books, and it says rooms. All of the necessities of feng shui. And you look through it, and it's telling you how to design, or it's like a interior design manual.
So wait, he thought I said room?
Correct.
Okay, I'll, runes.
Rooms. Yes.
R-U-N-E.
R-U-N-E. Oh,
not-
a rune.
Yeah, correct.
I don't believe we have any books about runes. I've actually never really seen too many magical artifacts in my time. So I dare say we do not have anything like that, unfortunately.
I know at this point in time Oswald wouldn't be, but would he have like some, like a rune on him? I'm assuming, would he be like level 3 at this point, since that, D&D wise, that's when he would become a rune guard?
Yeah, I would say so, because you had your mentor in your old country, and he was, because your mentor from your backstory was the one that taught you the rune guard stuff, right?
No, Captain Edgar would have taught me how to fight. Oswald would have learned the magic half from observing the wizards when they would come kingdom.
Okay. So yeah, you would have been, you're a fresh rune guard, so you're still looking for like the various, like what all the other symbols can mean, other augmentations you can do. And yeah, Odrix does not have anything like that, as he tells you.
The arcane arts are not Siege's favorites, and unfortunately not many people want to part ways with their tomes that teach you of magical properties, especially to an old library such as this. But I'll keep my eye out, and if I do find something, or if a trader comes through, I will let you know, Oswald.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Do you still want to check out those books? There's a 2-week policy.
No, thank you. I won't be needing these.
Oh, very well. I will take those back then. Is there anything else I can help you find? There's cooking books.
I am good for now.
Okay. Well, have about. The library is always come and go as you please until the wee hours of the night. We usually close when I fall asleep. My little helper's here, and this is the first time you've seen one. But let me see. Do I still have? They're archived as well. Here he is. These guys are cool. If I can.
Where?
I'm trying to find him right now. Helper. Boom. These little dudes right here. One of them pops out from.
It's AV from Final Fantasy IX.
Exactly.
Black
So
Mage.
he pops out from behind Odrix and holds out his hands. Odrix puts the books in there. Thank you. And he promptly goes and starts putting away the books where they belong. And then after that, he pretty much disappears from your sight as he's walking around.
Does Oswald see like anything strange or magical about them?
You can make an Arcana check.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna read something real quick. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, your rune guard thing should be for like old
Yeah,
languages.
for tech. If I got the books I wanted to get, yeah.
Yeah. So you notice just by looking at it, there's something different. It definitely doesn't walk like a dwarf or a halfling would at that size. And it almost looks as if it is a hollow figure as it's walking around. The way that the clothing sort of wraps around the inside, and it almost waves as if nothing is inside of it. So you can definitely tell that there's something magical about that little creature.
These creatures of yours, how did they come to be?
Oh, well, honestly, I used to work here alone, and then a hooded gentleman came through and said I could probably use some help. And the next day, he brought me all these helpers, and I asked him how he came about these, and he said that he created them, and that he would leave them here, but they are not allowed to leave the library for any reason. Otherwise, they disintegrate on the spot. I have tested it, and it is rather a gruesome sight, honestly. But the man left promptly after and has never returned. Quite a strange individual.
Indeed. Well, thank you for your time. I must be on my way.
Okay, you have a wonderful night, and welcome to Sisiege's fortress.
No, Oswald will take his...
Okay, so as you're walking out, now you see that there are quite a few different of those helpers, and they all have brooms, mops, dustpans, and they're pretty much wherever you had stepped and Odrix had stepped, they are cleaning up that trail. So they keep this place pretty spick and span on the inside, but the outside you can tell is pretty dirty because from what Odrix told you, they're not allowed to leave. So Oswald will leave the library, and it is pretty dark outside now. It's probably around 8 o'clock, 8:30. Does he wish to turn in?
Yeah, Oswald will go to the barracks for the night.
Alright, so Oswald returns to his barracks. As he walks in, William and Jeremy are nowhere to be seen. So he goes ahead and just gets on top of his bunk, takes off all his armor and stuff, puts it in his cubby, and drifts off to sleep.
Do these cubbies have locks or things on them?
They do not. They are open.
How far away is he from the cubby?
So if you imagine as you walk in, there are cubbies to your immediate right, and then there are cubbies behind where your bed is. The two that are to your immediate right are being used by William and Jeremy, so your cubby would be pretty close to where you're sleeping.
Alright, Oswald, can he turn and sleep in a way that if he were to wake up or open his eyes, he'd have vision on the cub?
You would have to, so imagine yourself laying in a bed, and then at the head of the bed, that's where your cubby would be, but on the floor, because you're on the top bunk. So you would have to turn around and look behind you. Or if you're sleeping on your stomach, you would have to just peer your head over the bed.
Alright. I'm trying to think then, is there... You said they're completely open, so there's no door,
Yeah, no door. It's
no
just
way to
open...
shut them? Okay, you can just...
Think of,
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen the inside of the base, MLB's, what are they called? Locker rooms? From the old movies, Angels in the Outfield and stuff. But it's pretty much just that open little cubby thing where they hang their uniforms and stuff. So it's nothing fancy at all. It's made just to make sure you don't get a bunch of wrinkles in your shirts, or if you're having them dry or something like that.
And is the bunk bed that I'm on, sorry, I can't fully remember the description of the room, is it against the wall?
Yeah,
Or is there
it's against
space?
the wall.
Okay, well then he'll, just in case William decides to try and prank with Oswald a little more, he will kind of sleep, but try to keep a general direction
Okay,
towards the cubby, just in case he hears shuffling in the night. Or,
gotcha.
yeah, he'll try to. He's gonna go to sleep, but he doesn't want to let his guard down
Okay, so
as much as he can.
So as you go to sleep, nothing ends up happening. Your eyes begin to grow heavy as you finally close them and the darkness takes you. Uh, During your sleep, you are having a dream about your old home, about how beautiful it used to be. And then moments before you wake up, you just see your father as the creature that he had turned into. Sort of in a different sense, as if you're like manning the gate and this creature is about to attack the city. And then you wake up. But at this moment, we're going to do a time skip and fast forward a couple weeks. So over the next couple weeks, Captain Raymond will have shown Oswald where like the various trainings take place and what Oswald is expected to learn if he's going to be a part of Sisiege's army. He has demonstrated pretty good skills when it comes to fighting with a sword, as well as he has shown Captain Raymond a few of his special arcane sort of gifts that he has. That has given you a special interest to Captain Raymond. He is trying to figure out how best to utilize such powers and help you grow with them. So one morning, as you wake up, you get out of bed. William and Jeremy are still asleep. You know you have training within the next like 20 minutes or so, and you start to put on your gear. As you finish getting on your gear, you go ahead and head to the mess hall to get something in your belly. And as you are walking towards the mess hall outside in the courthouse, you see Captain Raymond coming from this way. Ah, Oswald! I was actually about to come and get you a little early.
Good morning, Captain Raymond.
Good morning to you as well. I have a pretty personal question for you. Do you worship any of the gods?
Good question. I didn't think about that.
You can say, if you want him to have worshipped somebody, you can just say that you did, and you can look it up later. If you don't feel that he would be a very religious man, you can say that he is not. You don't have to have a particular god in mind.
Maybe he did, but I'll say after the catastrophe, worshipping gods is not something on his mind right now, since his kingdom was completely obliterated.
That makes sense. I can understand how something like that could take a toll on your faith, but... well, the whole point of me asking you is I was going to see if you would help oversee as I go upon my final rites to becoming a martyr for Tempest, god of war, and one of the highly regarded gods here in the fortress. Siege worships him. Most all the soldiers that do worship him, and in fact our temple here is dedicated to Tempest himself. So before we begin, I was going to see if maybe you wanted to go worship with me, but if you are not religious, I do not expect you to want to be included in such practices. So maybe next time.
Oswald will show interest in accompanying him, but to, I guess, see it, but not partake in it, you know?
Oh, well, very well, yeah. You are always welcome to come to the temple. I will show you the way. And then he marches on over here to the temple. As you approach the temple, you see two banners outside of the main doorway. And the banners are red with gold embroidered swords that are on fire, which is the symbol of Tempest, a flaming sword. You know that he's somewhat of a human deity, just because you are human. You know pretty much the main deities that humans worship, and he is of the neutral sort. He believes in, you know, power and fighting to defend neutrality, pretty much. So as you walk into the temple, there are quite a few different people here. Some of them are priests of Tempest, and others are what looks to be what you would think is an initiate to becoming a priest. Captain Raymond is the only one that is wearing armor of any sort, and he approaches. Yes, Oswald, if you would just have a seat back here, and I'll make sure to let the priest know that you are just here accompanying me just to watch out of curiosity.
Very well.
All right. So
also, when you mentioned the about Tempest and the power part, Oswald's not going to say anything, but in his mind he's going to be thinking, grasping for powers, what led to his father destroying the kingdom.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not going to say anything out loud like that.
Okay. All right. So Raymond approaches the priest. You see him pull one aside, and he sort of points over to you, and you can see his wave motions. And based on what he said he was going to say, it seems like he's saying, "Yeah, just leave that dude alone, please. He's just here to watch." And the priest nods in agreement. And then they begin. They're not really doing any sort of ritual per se, but they are doing a bunch of different. Bathing their swords in what looks to be some sort of holy water. One of the priests bathes his sword in an oil and lights it on fire, and sort of does what we know in modern day as a knighting ceremony. But he does a knighting thing for all of the priests, and then he finally gets up to Raymond and does the same thing as well. Then you hear one of the priests as he has his arms outstretched before him. "Oh, Lord Tempest, please guide your newly found acolytes towards your holy rule, and may we finally see you." And he puts his hands sort of as a Christian would put in front of their face, but just a little bit different. The thumbs are touching the bottom of his lip, with his index finger touching the very top. And all of the acolytes and Captain Raymond and other priests are doing this as well. As you're looking around, hoping to maybe see a god, you start to think to yourself, yeah, this is kind of foolhardy. No god is going to show up in such a random place. If he didn't show up when I needed him most, why would he show up to something so small as this? Afterwards, the priest is done, and they start to wrap up their ceremony. They extinguish the blade with holy water, and Captain Raymond shakes everyone's hands, and he comes back up to you. It took a little longer than usual, but nonetheless, we are done. Hopefully soon, Tempest will set his gaze on us, and we will all become holy men and women, able to heal our brothers in arms as we battle in his name. Shall we go ahead and get on with your training for today, then?
Yes.
All right. So he guides you outside of the door, and you guys head to the training area, and pretty much is having you practice the same maneuvers over and over again. You do a little bit of sparring. You're getting better, but you're not as good as Raymond is. He's able to disarm you a couple times and show you where your weaknesses lie. Right, well, that was a good training session. Remember, tomorrow we are going to be going over army-wide, or I guess battalion-wide maneuvers and such for when we seek battle on the field. So I will see you then. And he waves his hand at you and starts to walk away. And at this point, we will go ahead and fast forward to the next day. It's about noon or so when Oswald and the rest of the new initiates all meet outside of the fortress, pretty much just right outside. You see Siege approaching on his horse. Captain Raymond is getting you guys all ready. All right, now, ranks, everybody. And they all sort of like stiffen up, and everyone gets into the formation. And Siege approaches. Initiates, no doubt you are prepared for whatever war may come upon us at any moment in time. But today is the day that hopefully you graduate and become full-fledged members of my arsenal. Captain Raymond is going to go over a few different battle tactics with you, and as long as you perform exemplary, you will be granted the rank of recruit to my army, and you will no longer be initiates. With this new rank comes new responsibilities, new training, and of course, new details as to what your goals will be in the future. So, I hope to see great things come from all of you. And then he starts to ride his horse to the back so that he can watch as you guys do your things. So Captain Raymond starts to shout some orders. You guys sort of start to march. He then says a couple different orders, and then the battalion, as they're moving, breaks into two separate squads, and then breaks into more squads. And then after that, he says to halt, and all of you halt. At this point, the battalion's probably been broken up into 8 different squads of about 6 people each. And he turns, approaches the middle and says, now, the final practice, the top 4 squads from this next portion will end up being granted a higher rank or a higher standing among the rest of your classmates. You will have a 6-on-6 battle. The winners, as I said, will be granted extra training. You will be what we will consider the new leaders of the next class. At this point, you know that your group is pretty good in combat and such. You have yourself, you have William, Jeremy, and then 3 other gentlemen that you've not really had much interaction with. You haven't really talked to all too many folks since you came here because you're still trying in the grieving process of your home. Raymond tells you guys the rules. They're pretty simple. No fatal injuries. It's just like sparring practice. Once you get to a spot where you would like make a mortal blow, you stop and that person is out. Everyone agrees, and they all draw their training swords. They weigh the same and look the same as long swords, but they're very blunted edges, so you will not be able to harm anybody. I'm going to have you go ahead and roll a series of strength and dexterity checks here in a second. But Captain Raymond, all right, everybody draw your weapons. And everybody draws their weapons. Now, last 4 squads that remain, even if it's a single member, are the winners. Have at it! And he closes his fist, and you guys all go in to fight. So you and your squad start to run up towards the other. Go ahead and roll a dexterity check for me.
I was going to ask real quick. Since I have done a little bit of rune training, would I be able to invoke the rune that he would have had on his body? To maybe just all it is a movement increase, so it'd make him a little bit faster on the battlefield.
Yeah, you could definitely do that if you wanted to. So, you have to shout something, correct?
Yes, he would invoke the words Hagar Vind.
Alright, so as you say that, there's a small flash of light that comes from underneath your clothes. Your squad mates kind of look at you puzzled as you start to just run forward on your own. The folks that you're running towards have all stopped, and they kind of just stand there with their swords ready. You start to run towards them faster and faster. Go ahead and roll a perception check real quick. And as you're running, you sort of look, you glance to your sides, and you notice that you're outrunning your compatriots. So you look behind you, and they're all about 30 feet back, still standing, kind of curious as to what you just did. And you stop. As you stop and look back, go ahead and make a dexterity, straight dexterity check. So you look back and you're kind of thinking to yourself, we're supposed to fight, when one of the other members, seeing that you have lowered your guard, comes up and puts their sword right up against your neck, and you drop yours. You've never shown your runes off to anybody. Captain Raymond knows of them only because he oversaw your wounds being closed and your treatment. But he has never seen you really use these powers in such a way. So you've thrown off the guard of your fellows, and because they had no idea what you were doing, they were pretty hesitant to follow you into battle. So you stand there, you pick up your sword, and you move across to the side and sheath your sword and watch as the rest of your men start fighting. I'm going to roll a series of checks for them real quick. Alright. And it looks like, let's see, there should be 6. There we go. 1, 2. Alright, so as your fellows are fighting, 2 of them end up remaining while the rest of them have been beaten. One of them being William, and the other being an unnamed gentleman. The rest of the squads have all also been defeated or victorious, and Raymond says, "Now, for those squads that have been defeated, no matter, you have still been initiated and are now fully classed as recruits, but you may go ahead and leave. The rest of you, please stand at attention. Siege is going to address you." So you all gather back in your formations. And Siege rides up on his horse and says, "Now, I saw some excellent maneuvers out there. I also saw some pretty terrible ones. One thing, you never know what your enemy knows. You also never have any idea what extent of knowledge your compatriots know. So if your fellow men have some sort of benefit to them, if they have some sort of magic that they use in battle, don't let that distract you, because that could get you killed. There are not just merely soldiers out there in the world. There's more than just that. So keep your wits about you, learn as much as you can from each other, and don't leave the rest of your friends behind," as he sort of looks at you as you sort of rushed into battle. "Other than that, the rest of your training will come within the coming months, but welcome to the army." And he dismisses you guys. As you guys all sort of trickle back into the fort, Raymond approaches you. "Oswald, it looks as if you've never really told any of your fellows about your gifts. Why is that?"
There was no need to tell them of my past.
Quite the contrary. If you do not, open up and try to make friends with your fellows on the battlefield, well, they'll never know your capabilities, and if the timings get tough, they might end up doing exactly what they did there and just leave you alone to fight for yourself. Although you are strong, you are not 1 versus 6 strong. You could have definitely used your comrades in that fight. I recommend trying to get to know them. There's all sorts of different personalities, but if you can make friends and you can all end up thinking together tactfully, better things will come of it. I hope you believe me.
I will take your word into consideration, but it is hard to believe that after witnessing all that I knew before. Plot.
Very well. I can sense that you are still grieving, but hopefully in time you come to trust my words. And with that, you guys make your way into the fortress, and we'll do another time skip. A couple more weeks progress, You've been learning all types of battle maneuvers that Siege employs in his army. You know, like, what the commands are, stuff like that. Being of a sort of warrior background yourself, you pick these things up pretty quickly. And you're a rising star in your class of leaders. William is not very keen on you being so popular amongst your classmates for knowing everything. Does Oswald try to make friends or heed Captain Raymond's words during these next few weeks? Or does he still keep it to himself?
I'll say Oswald will have communicated to them, letting them know that he had studied some of the arcane ways, which is why he has these powers that they were surprised about. But in terms of trying to be on like friendly terms with him, his mind is on.
Okay.
He's got his demons,
Yeah.
so to say. Like he's thinking about those wizards.
Okay. So they're all like, okay, cool. So he's got some magical abilities. How does that make him better than us? The most notable one that challenges your power is William, of course. After one day of studying, Captain Raymond has told you guys that in about 10 minutes there will be a sparring match.
Oh, hold on, sorry. Before this, are all these sparring matches going to continue using these wooden sticks since they're not fatal?
Yeah.
Are they like? Do we all have our own, or
No.
do they just like hand them out on the spot?
They just hand them out on the spot.
All right.
Yeah, they don't want you guys to be walking around town with dull blades because there's no point to it.
Well, the reason why I say that is if Oswald could somehow manage to keep one of these training blade, like whether he had to sneak it or if he just asked permission and they let him, he'd like to kept a personal one so that he could practice one of his offensive runes with it.
Okay.
Since I would, he has to, inscribe runes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to ask the quartermaster, you can.
Would he have been allowed to do this like after that first sparring match?
Yeah.
That happened like a little while ago.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. Or no, go ahead and make your plea.
Okay, so we're at the quartermaster.
Yeah.
Does he have a name or?
The quartermaster is Sylvia Stamper. She is a human elf, or not human elf. What does that even mean? She is a human female, and she has black hair that's pretty short. You know her from watching, watching her hand out weapons and such, but you also know that she is pretty much Siege's right hand. So
it's that same person.
Correct.
And you said Sylvia or Sylvia?
Sylvia.
Sylvia.
Yeah.
And what was her last name?
Stamper. Yes, Oswald.
I was wondering if I may keep one of the dual trading blades for myself. Being that I'm guessing Sylvia knows about the runes now.
Correct. To your best knowledge, she would. She's never talked to you about it, but you know that she's pretty close to Siege, so you would think that maybe he's probably told her.
Well, I don't know how much you know of me, but I have the ability to inscribe runes on myself or the equipment I don. With your permission, I would like to keep a training blade for myself so that I may practice some of my more offensive capabilities with my runes.
Very well, I can allow that, but let it be known that during your sparring matches, it is probably in good taste for you to use a regular sword and not any of these inscribed ones. Siege wants everyone to be on the same playing field so that we can test your martial advantages as opposed to just what you have innate. Does that make sense?
It does, but on the battlefield, do we not use everything in our power?
Oh, we definitely do, but in between each other, we need to find out who's the most capable. Because if you're able to overpower an opponent that has better maneuvers just because you have some sort of gift that you were born with, well, they are obviously more tactfully wit than you, for you just have an inbred power. There would be more reason for you to be on the front lines than manning the back if you use your capabilities as such. We want to make sure we're picking the very best to lead our battlements. That is why we try to give everyone the same playing field, because the truly best will shine in that way, as opposed to just the gifted.
But do not gifts allow certain individuals to become better?
Rightfully so, they do, but in different ways. Once we have a cream of the crop, at that point, if there are any gifts, such as your rune inscribing sorts, then we would continue onward from there. But because we have such a large pool of folks, we still need to whittle down the little weeds that we do not want to recruit.
Very well. I would still wish to have one so that I may practice the rune, but I will refrain from using it during the art.
Very good. Okay, I will assign this one to you then. Keep it safe. You are responsible for it.
I will. And as far as the runes go, only I am allowed to use them, so others are incapable of
Oh,
exploiting.
that is very good to know. I look forward to seeing what you're capable of, Oswald.
I guess with that, Oswald.
Yeah.
I guess. Do they like? I know how I talked about saluting earlier, but is there like custom like head bowing or things like common courtesies?
Yeah, you could say that doing a sort of like not a full bow, but
Like
putting putting your right arm over your stomach and the other one behind you, and then just nodding shallowly is a common courtesy amongst these folk.
I guess he'll just do that. Take his leave.
And then Sylvia sort of does a little sort of curtsy, but she does not wear a dress, for she is also a warrior. So Oswald will head back, and it is early enough in the day that he could inscribe his runes onto his new blade before going to bed, if he would like. You can decide whether you do it later or you do it now.
He'll just go ahead and do it.
Okay. Alright, so you go ahead and do it, and then over the next couple days, before the one-on-one sparring matches that are going to be going on, he's practicing in the field. Go ahead and roll perception. So as you're practicing on the training dummies, you're shouting your incantations and doing your different maneuvers and such. You sort of take a break to wipe the sweat off your brow, and out of the corner of your eye, you see William studying you from the other side of the training grounds. After a short moment, he sort of like gives you a pretty, like, he just squints his eyes almost like curiously, like what the hell is he doing? And then you can see that there's a bit of frustration in his face as he leaves the training grounds, furious.
I didn't hear. He had a bit of what?
Frustration in his face. Oh, my internet's starting to go out.
No, you're fine. It's just that one word kind of skipped.
Gotcha. So it is now the day of the sparring matches that Raymond was talking about. It's a one-on-one battle, you versus another. So Captain Raymond, he gathers you guys, and he's battling two squads against each other. So the 6 in one squad versus the 6 in another, but in one-on-one duels. And go ahead and roll 3 strength checks for me, just in a row. Okay, so as you come up to battle your opponent, you guys are pretty much matched. So for every blow you land on them, they land 1 until you finally get a nice little combo going, which gives you a point. Then you go in for your second round, and as you're battling, you're pretty much point to point until you finally land a nice little sort of elbow to the face, and you rest your blade right up against their throat, which wins you the match. As you have won your match, you won it faster than the rest of your compatriots, based on your rolls, and you watch the others. William, even though you don't like him, you respect his martial. What would they be? His martial skills.
Martial arts.
Yeah, he's got some really good martial skills as he's fighting, and he ends up not taking a scratch from his opponent, although his opponent's not as skilled as he is from what you've noticed, so you're not sure if he just got lucky or if he's really that good. But Captain Raymond says that you guys all need to rest up. The winners of this battle will fight tomorrow, and one-on-one duels again, and then the winners of those will start to become more squad leaders of the army. So as the rest of the day goes on, you're leaving the mess hall, and outside of the barracks you see William. Ah, there he is, Oswald. You did pretty good fighting over there today.
You yourself
Why, thank
also
you.
did well.
But I don't have to use magic to win. And he sort of looks at your sword that you sort of keep to your side just because Sylvia has allowed you to do so.
You'll have clearly seen me when I use it.
Yeah.
It is obvious when it is not being used, for it does not glow and shine.
Well, as long as you know you're not as good without your magic, then that's all I really wanted to convey to you today. If we battle tomorrow, well, I don't think your magic could even save you. And he glares at you before walking into the barracks. If you wish to say anything to him as he's walking away, you may.
No, Oswald doesn't care. In Oswald's mind, he's trying to, train and strengthen himself to one day find those wizards. So
Yeah.
what William thinks of him means nothing to Oswald.
Okay. So the next day comes, you do your daily routine, and as the sparring competition comes, your opponent is, in fact, William. So go ahead and...
Actually, I was going to say before we sparred, since Sylvia had mentioned how they want us to test on our base strength before any additional abilities, Oswald would have left the one with the runes on it behind and
Okay.
up
And
a
take
regular one.
Regular. Okay. So you leave your training sword with the runes behind, and as you come up, you request a random blade, in which you are given. Everybody that is in the sparring match sees this, so they know that this is a normal blade. As you approach, your opponent is in front of you, and it is William. Go ahead and roll 3 strength checks again for me. Okay. Alright, so as you go up, you're fighting with William, and you're pretty neck and neck on the very first point, and you both end up catching each other off guard, and neither of you gain a point for that match. The next one you're going, William does a couple different shoves and tries to trip you up, You notice that he's using his legs a lot more than you are. And when he goes in for another one, you sort of just jump over and pommel him right in the shoulder, getting you a point. In the final match, you guys are going, and you end up locking blades. And as he gets into your face, he says, "Hey, where's your magic? You're going to need it here." Make a dexterity saving throw real quick. He tries to lock his foot behind you, and you can feel this on your heel. As he's trying to trip you up, you actually just hold in your foot and move it back, tripping him down and putting your sword to his throat, winning the match. And his hands are up, his blade is to his side, and you have him beaten. Very good, Oswald.
Oswald's gonna say, I may use my magic to enhance my abilities, but I do not need it to defeat one such as you. As he has his sword at his throat.
You then sheath your blade, and Captain Raymond comes over and congratulates you. So now, where there were 6 combatants, now there are only 3. It's you and 2 other nameless gentlemen that have won this sparring match. And from what Captain Raymond has told you, you guys will be learning under Siege himself to figure out who it is that's going to be the next big leader of his army. Over the next couple days, some different changes happen. You, being one of the winners, have now moved to the barracks that are on this side outside of the temple. You don't know where Jeremy and William live anymore. You know most likely they still live in the same barracks that you did live in. But now you've started to follow Siege around with the others, and you guys constantly spar against him. So one of those days, Siege is walking around, and he draws his training blade. Now, I want all 3 of you to come at me at once.
This is like a unofficial spar kind of deal, or?
Yeah, so it's just Siege wanting to test how you 3 manage against him.
Alright. Oswald, I'm guessing he still has the other sword that has the runes on it?
Correct.
He'll have that one on him then.
Okay. So Siege sort of, he steps away from all 3 of you as you unsheath your weapons. Now, give it all you got. Go ahead and just roll a d20 real quick, just for initiatives. Very nice. Okay, so...
I mean, that's a good roll, but that's not where I want the good roll.
I know, right?
I want it on the hit, not the initiative.
Alright, so it looks like you go first, followed by Siege, and then the 2 compatriots. So... he's pretty much 10 feet in front of you, so you don't have to worry about running to him or anything. This will be a theater of mind combat.
Sure. Can I have a free action to quickly ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this the base of our abilities again, or shall we use what all we have now?
Go ahead and use anything you think you need to take me out.
Very well. Oswald will incite the words Sokenstein on his blade.
Alright.
And that takes up a bonus action. So I guess with his movement he will try to approach Siege from an angle, not straight at him, but more like at an angle towards him.
Yeah.
And then use his action to wing.
Alright, go ahead and you can just roll your longsword attack. Okay, so 20 will not hit Siege. So Siege sort of ducks out of the way a little bit. Huh?
Though would I have the ability to swing twice at this point, because I'm a fighter, or is it just going to be one swing for now?
We can do fighters get their second attack. I thought it was level.
It might be 5? I think it's like...
Yeah, level 5. So you'd still be level 3 at this point. So
Okay. So
you would
just
get
one-
your
wanna make
accent surge if you wanted to. But yeah, just one.
sure. I have no idea how long this is going to last, so I guess I'll go ahead and action surge then, and
Okay.
it's like 10.
Yeah, go for it. That will also miss. So you run up at an angle and you slash at Siege, who just steps back, and then you shout, going in for a second strike, which he deflects with his sword. Now that it is his turn, he will also attack at you.
One more or wait, never mind. Never mind.
He will take only one swipe at you, which would hit, because at this point you wouldn't have your plate armor, so you should be at 20, right?
No,
19.
if I have the splint, that would put me at 19. I'm going to be wearing that.
And you don't have your shield either, so that would put you at 17.
17.
Alright, so yeah, he hits. So he hits you. The next gentleman runs up, tries to flank, but isn't able to get off a blow on Siege, as he's able to dodge and weave in between the flurry of swords. The next gentleman also comes up to the side and tries, but misses. So far, you guys haven't been able to hit him.
He hit me. I know we're not doing damage here, but I would need to make a con save to maintain concentration.
And you would with the 24. Alright, so your next attack.
So, did the other two position themselves
Yeah,
and around him to kind of circle him?
Yeah, so you guys all have him in a triangle. You would get a advantage for flanking.
Yeah, because I was assuming he'd be facing the others since they attacked later.
Yeah. Okay, so with the 22 you'll hit. So you make a nice hit on his back. With his armor though and the blunt weapon, obviously it didn't hurt him, but he sort of nudges it off. He then goes in for an attack against...
Well, hold on. Since I have my rune active though,
Yeah,
he would need to... And
which
from
he
level
made.
3, is what's proficiency at level 3?
Should be, I think, +2.
So, if he made a DC check of 15?
Yeah, he made it. I've already rolled it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got whispered rolls for Siege, so when I click on the stuff, you won't see it being rolled.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just making sure I know what the numbers are.
Yeah. So yeah, you hit him, and he feels the weight of your rune try to take effect, but he just shrugs it off. And then he goes in for an attack against one of your members, who he strikes in the stomach and knocks the wind out of them as they fall. I yield. I yield. Very well, get out. And he has him sort of move back as he takes on the other two of you. The other gentleman will go ahead and take a strike, which will also hit Siege. Not as strong as your strike, obviously, and Siege can tell this. So go ahead with another attack. That one will miss. Oh, wait, no, the other guy's still there with, advantage. You hit him, so strength save, and he makes it. So you try to take him down again with your rune, and he's definitely got a firmer plant with his feet than he did the first time. After that, he will take a strike against the other dude, pretty much swatting him across the chest, and just from the sheer strength of the attack, it sort of moves him back a couple inches, and he starts to gasp as you can tell there's a big dent in his chest piece armor that he was wearing from Sicey just swipe. I yield too. Very well. It's you and me, Oswald. Take your best shot. Go ahead.
Hold on, I'm trying to think for a second. Is there any... I don't know how D&D works for theater mind in this aspect, but when it comes to melee combat, has there ever been times where people try to maneuver around their opponent to try to catch them off guard? Like, not moving away to invoke disengage or attack opportunity, but just
like
to...
try to run to the back of them?
Yeah, to like try to...
Like with,
throw them off.
yeah, with facing... Like, you can... If you're trying to make it to where, like, you run and, like, just dip to the right or something like that, you can give it a shot with a dexterity roll, but more than likely, with it being a one-on-one combat, Siege is going to notice every move that you make.
Well, I was hoping if I were to switch runes and activate my movement speed rune, if I could somehow move quick enough to, even if you notice, that because I'd be moving at double speed, then maybe I could catch him off guard.
Probably not, since all it's doing is making you run a little bit faster. You're not like a creature called a quickling, which blurs time and space because they actually move so fast. You're still within your human limits, so he's gonna notice it still.
Alright, well then I guess I'll just do regular sparring then, not try to pull any maneuver.
Because there are fighter like maneuvers if you took the Battle Master.
Battle Master, yeah, which uses the superior attack.
Exactly. So that in that case, yes, depending on what it is.
Yeah, what maneuver I chose. Yeah.
But with the Rune Guard, you're not able to do feats of strength like that. So that one will also hit, and this time he does fail to save. So you hit him sort of across the chest, and it moves him back a couple inches, and he takes a knee as he falls prone. And he quickly gets up and says, "Huh, that was a rather good swing." Ooh. But as he starts to stand up from his prone, he does like an upper swing and knocks your sword out of your hand. But not good enough. He critted on that one. That will be enough sparring for today. You guys landed quite a considerable amount of punches. I did not expect you to land a single one on me. He starts to clap. You guys are dismissed. Have the rest of the day off. Oswald, meet me in my chambers later on. Probably after you eat dinner.
Will do. As the Siege was telling him that, he was going over to pick up the blade that he knocked out of his hand.
Alright. Cool. So, at this point, you would go about your normal day, doing the things you normally do. Polish your splint mail, make sure all your clothes are washed, wash yourself, eat, and then you finally head over to Siege's, his, I guess, chambers, as he called them. And as you approach, the guards outside, Siege is right inside waiting for you. And you go ahead and walk past them and inside. Inside you find Siege with Captain Raymond and Sylvia Stamper. Oswald.
Do you wish to see me?
Yes. I noticed that after I had told everybody to use everything they got, the other two candidates that you were with do not possess the capabilities that you do. Obviously, your mastery of the arcane runes that you possess have given you a benefit on the battlefield, and you already possess great martial advantages compared to the rest of your classmates. So, I have come to ask you if you are prepared to take on a task with Captain Raymond here that will fully test your capabilities. And if so, then I would like to go ahead and grant you the rank of member to Bellowlight, the organization that I told you about before. You would no longer be an initiate, but a full-fledged member, and then you can expect for you and Captain Raymond to go on more of these expeditions as I see fit. If you choose to accept.
He kind of glances at Siege a little bit, since him and Siege have more in-depth knowledge of Oswald's background. But as long as these advancements continue to further my goal, I...
Most righteous. I feel that... Yes, any advancements you take in Bellowlight will surely help advance your own goals. Although we might not be able to get you the information that you require, we will definitely give you the strength that you need to possess in order to take back what was yours. Or exact your revenge upon those that have wronged you and your people. We are still working on finding these wizards, and so far, no stone has been unturned, and we have nothing to show for it.
Perhaps with these expeditions and my arcane ways, I may be able to discover clues on my own.
And hopefully so. But for now, your task is simple. I need you and Captain Raymond to journey to the harbor and check on some elven islands, elven ruins, if you will. I need to make sure that nothing is going on over there.
When do we begin?
At first light tomorrow.
Is there anything else that I need to know?
No, Raymond will tell you the rest on your journey. You'll have plenty of time. But you'll be gone for probably about 4 days total before returning here.
I know, real quick, do we have actual blades that were assigned to us?
Yeah.
Alright, very well. I should take my leave now, for I must inscribe my runes on my main equipment that I shall embark with.
Very good. Captain Raymond will fill you in on meeting spots, and other than that, you have a wonderful night. You're dismissed.
Oswald will do that.
Okay.
Salute, and then...
Yeah. And as you walk out, Captain Raymond joins you and says, I will meet you at the front gates in the morning. Try to be ready by about 6:30. And we will head out. Since it's just a scouting mission, if anything ends up getting in our way, we are to run, not fight.
Of course, though I shall still prepare in case running somehow ends up not being enough.
I like the way that you think ahead. Some of your other compatriots have failed this test because they went in with their swords drawn to some random bandit and ended up getting more wounds than they should have if we had just followed orders. But luckily there have not been many bandit sightings as of late, so we should be perfectly fine.
Very well.
So you head back to your barracks chamber and you start to inscribe your runes before heading off to sleep. And then we'll go ahead and do a time skip to you embarking to the Elven Islands. You and Captain Raymond meet at the gates and head off. During your travels, there's not really much that you see. You do notice in the fields as you're going, where a lot of farmers are harvesting their crops, you see what looks to be goblinoids coming from the north as they're scouting south. You ask Raymond about it, and Raymond says that there is a goblin stronghold to the north, but so far they've not really done anything to provoke an attack from Siege's full force, but they're being heavily monitored. Until they strike any of the peasants or farmers or anything like that, Siege has allowed them to just live on their days.
Is this a different stronghold than the one with Ra?
It is. So the one that you know in the present day with Vraz is far different from the one that you're being told about now.
Okay. Well, I mean, that way, like, in present day, Oswald would have had, like,
Yeah.
already been there, etc.
Alright, so you guys end up getting on your ship. Nothing ends up happening as you get to the Elven Islands. The Elven Islands are pretty... You definitely know that they've been abandoned for quite some time. You ask Raymond what your true purpose is here, and he tells you that there has been talks of a cult that is trying to bring back an ancient evil, and Siege has reason to believe that this would be the location in which they do that. You guys spend about 2 days on the island looking around. You search through the ruins of the houses that are there. You find what looks to be a graveyard of sorts with a large statue in the middle of it. But on further investigation, you guys don't really notice anything, especially nothing as of late has been done on this island. Whatever the last thing to have stepped foot on this island was many centuries ago.
Has there, though, been perhaps sigils or text, some type of paper or stone that things could have been written on?
Let's see. You do see elvish runes and such, and they sort of just spell out like random names of elves that lived there, so on their like tombstones and such. Other than that, everything that you see that could possibly be some type of script has been faded away to where it is unreadable and illegible, and none of them are magical in nature. So your search comes to a close. Captain Raymond, well, it looks like as if this island hasn't been inhabited since centuries ago, but I can understand why Siege would want us to come here just in case. Did you see anything out of the ordinary?
Only names and texts that are too old to be readable.
Very well. Well, let us go tell our report to Siege. And at this point, you guys end up making your way back.
Well, before we left, though, what was that statue that we noticed?
It's just a statue of an elven woman that's kind of just standing there. Her arms sort of crossed in front of her, not like against her chest, but one hand over the other, sort of like a royal pose. So this is definitely the elven islands of some type of ancient elvish royalty, but you're unfamiliar as to like who exactly.
Alright, but that was all that he noticed, that it just looked royal? It was just a statue?
Correct.
Alright.
So you guys make your way back to Siege's fort. You guys give him your findings, and he says, "Very good. I'm just glad that nothing has been transposed as of late on the island. A noble elvish family, probably one of the most royal families back many centuries ago, used to live there. And I just wanted to ensure that the state that it was left in is still as such, and you have confirmed that for me."
Was there any other areas of suspicion?
There are, but I've already dispatched others to go and search these locations for me. We should find out what we need to know in the next week or so, as they were a little further off. But I didn't want my two best to be gone for too long.
And I guess also want to ask, like, how did he learn of this to begin with? What clues?
Well, from what Bellow Light, the other Inner Circle leaders have told me, we need to be vigilant, for there is a cult calling themselves the Scarlet Boar. that are trying to invoke a ritual to bring back a necromancer named Nagex.
Would Oswald at this point have any knowledge of Nagant?
Negative. This is your first time hearing of her name?
And who would this Nagex be?
Nagex, well, no one really knows all the history, but from what I can tell you, is that she was a very powerful wizard thousands of years ago, who, once she grew to the pinnacle of her strength, she sought even more power, and ended up invoking the rites of necromancy and found the ritual to lichdom, which turned her into an undead monstrosity, but she could never die, which would allow her powers to only grow. After that happened, she suppressed many of the other races besides elven kind, seeing elves as the true sole proprietor of the world, and everyone else is there to do their bidding. The races retaliated, and that is what forged Bellowlight in the first place. It has been our duty ever since to ensure that Nagex stays banished and never gets to see the light of this world again.
Who all is around right now?
It's just you, Captain Raymond, and Siege.
Well, when Oswald heard the words transformed into an undead monstrosity, that caught his attention. Oswald's going to ask if he could speak to Siege privately for a moment.
Very well, Raymond. The room, please. Yes, sir. I'll be going to my chambers unless there's anything else you need. No, you're dismissed for the night. See you tomorrow. Yes, sir. And he leaves, closing the door behind him. What is it you need, Oswald?
You mentioned that she transformed herself into a monstrosity.
Correct. Once was an elven woman. She became an undead, not really a giant, but very large creature. So her true form is that of a beautiful elven woman, and now she looks like the large skeletal corpse of a giant.
I do not know if such a connection exists, but it makes me wonder if the wizards who were babbling in their magic ways were teaching spells of a similar nature to my father for the beast that he became when trying to defend our kingdom.
It very well could be a connection.
Actually, hold on. That's going to be Oswald's first time telling Size that he never...
That is true, yeah. That could very well be the case, but you never told me
Oswald's... oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead with your part.
No. You never told me that your father became a beast. I thought it was just giants that took over your place.
Yes, at the moment I was too perplexed to want to speak, but in addition to the giants having taken over, my father had learned of a spell that would allow him to transform, and he had planned to use this spell as a last resort. And since the kingdom had begun to be overrun, he felt the need to invoke the spell, which turned him into a giant beast-like creature. At first, it seemed to work in his favor. It appeared that he was repelling these giants, but I was far away when this happened, so I do not know every detail. But it seemed at some point his mind became twisted and he himself was the one attacking the kingdom.
Interesting. That is quite grave news. And that means that he was in league with these wizards for quite some time. But I do not believe that these wizards, unless somehow they have also reached the pinnacle of immortality, would be the same ones that taught Nagex. Although, They could have maybe found the teachings of Nagex and tried to invoke their own ritual of lichdom, using your father as the sample. There are many questions that we have, Oswald, and not enough answers. I will dispatch every scout that I can. I will try to uncover every secret in order to figure this out. But all I ask from you is patience.
Well, I was going to ask, like, do you or the other members of Beloa perhaps have found documentation or scrolls, rituals of some nature that I could examine? These wizards, though they never interacted with me much, I spent many years observing them, which is how I came to possess these runic powers that you have seen me perform.
Unfortunately, we do not have much in the ways of magic, at least not here in my fort. I have tried to uncover such relics, and so far, most things become mundane items. Maybe the other Inner Circle members of Bella Light would know something, but it has been quite some time since we have called for a meeting.
Very well. Should you ever discover anything, though,
Oh,
I
don't
would wish
worry.
to examine them to see if there's a similar nature.
Very well, that can be arranged, Oswald. Is there anything else that you require?
No. However, should you feel the need to tell the other Inner Circle of this beast, I wish for now that you do not mention that it was my father who became the beast.
Rightably so. I will do as you ask.
But that is all.
Very well. You are dismissed, Oswald.
Oswald will salute and take his leave.
Alright. Let's see. So, let's see. Da-da-da-da. So, now we fast forward a few years of you fighting alongside Siege. You helped him rid of the goblins that remained in the north. From what you know is that most of the goblins were either already injured or too sick/old to move. So it was a fairly easy battle.
So hold on, you said at first that they were neutrals, so he kind of left them alone. Did they attack or do something?
No, he wanted to take them out just because he saw a weakness in them. And he wants to expand his fortress. They didn't do anything to Siege or his people specifically, but after he noticed them moving out of the area, his scouts had reported that a large sum of them had gone to the northeast areas of Ashenport, which the present party knows because they talked with them there, and then they moved back to their old stronghold. Siege went ahead and cleared out the rest of them, just so that he could take over the rest of that land and make it his own.
So I guess, kind of out of character real quick, how does the world view each other as races then?
So far, there's not really much in terms of like racism, except for with the elves. Elves find themselves superior. Other than that, not many people have seen goblins or kobolds, or too many orcish tribes besides the Bone Chewers, which is the tribe that Dravorkin, who you haven't met, leads. That is one of our old players that had to go because he couldn't play anymore. So he runs that tribe now, although even though the monstrous races are in fact monstrous, they don't typically cause too much trouble aside from the giants that attacked your country. People
Alright, and,
hear tales of goblins, you know, sneaking in and stealing their children and stuff like that, but these are all pretty much urban myths.
yeah, wives, things of that nature.
Yeah. Other than that, in the world, like, people just try to get along because they're still pretty much licking their wounds from when Nagex almost obliterated the whole world. Although most of that knowledge of how that happened and how the world came to be has been lost. Not many people know what Nagex is. They don't know. They just know that apparently what's the year should be around, I think, what was the calendar? That should tell us. Oh, I put the date on the calendar, but it doesn't tell me. I'm pretty sure the year is like 1750 something. And yeah, most of the knowledge of Nagex has been forgotten by those that are not in Bellowlight. Obviously, pretty much any member of Bellowlight knows the name of Nagex. And knows of what she became, such as you know now.
And I guess back to the moment then, you said that they were killing off all the remaining goblins?
Yeah, there were less than 100 of them that were living in that fort. They were the ones that were too old, sick, and weak to leave the stronghold. And it was pretty much like a mercy kill to them all. Because they were all on the verge of, they were going to probably die anyway, since there was no other healthy goblins around to take care of them. So Siege took mercy upon them, sent them to the afterlife, and at this point in the present day where your characters are, he's in the process of just like renovating that stronghold to fit his needs and expand more farmland and possibly make a new town and make his fortress into a military-only area. That's his goal anyway, which he would have told you, and Captain Raymond for sure what his intentions were. So, after that, fast forward a couple weeks to where you guys were, or Siege was sent a message from the party about an alliance. And he would have told you that he intends to make an alliance with the Dragonborn. He's not so sure about the goblins. But the minerals and raw materials that you guys could achieve from inside of the mountains would end up being able to supplement his army even more, making him stronger. Which is why you guys ended up going down to Irisk in the first place.
Could I pause for just a second?
Yeah.
I'm going to backtrack to here to the clearing of the goblins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that Oswald's character, even though he knew it was a mercy killing, it still kind of made him feel a bit sick, because it's reminding him of the slaughter of his kingdom. Even though they're weak and feeble and on the verge of dying, it still kind of reopens memories a bit.
That makes sense. Does he say anything about it, or is that's just how he feels?
Is he with Siege during all this, or is he like in a different?
He would have been like one of the ones sent out. Siege isn't. He's just issuing the commands and standing on the sidelines. But in the aftermath, he would be able to talk to him if he wanted to.
I guess since it'd be like in the moment feeling, it'd be like just him feeling that in the moment of the mercy killings.
Okay. All right. So So jumping to present day, when Oswald and Siege and then approach Irisk for the first time. That is when Captain Raymond returns with a few of the members of the party, of the current party, to help with taking out any stray beasts where you guys plan to encamp, as well as getting a little bit of the lay of the land to make sure that it's a safe place for encampment. And then other than that, that is all I had planned for this one-on-one. If there's any questions or roleplay opportunities that you want Oswald to do, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, we will be done.
Alright, well, what more would Oswald know about Raymond since he'd been training with him for these few years?
You would know that Raymond is, in fact, a martyr, aka a cleric, but he says that he is a martyr of Tempest. So he has been blessed with divine magics in order to heal the injured warriors of Sisiege's army. There are quite a few other clerics that Siege uses as well. All of them worship Tempest, the god of war. And then other than that, Raymond is just a very close comrade of Sisiege's. So in that battle against the dragon, you would know that he was using mass healing word when he brought back those folks.
Right. You said that camp that we had just finished on, that was the camp that party was at before we met the group?
No, the camp that you guys... Oh wait, are you saying this area, the map
Like,
you're
but
looking
before,
at now?
no, I meant before I'm introduced to the party.
Oh, yeah.
We were at that other camp?
Yeah. You wouldn't have talked or shown that you are, like, one of Sisiege's, like, I guess, initiates to, or members, like close members. You would have been doing your own, like you'd have your own orders, but you would have saw Captain Raymond coming with this group, and then all of you would have been given your various tasks separately to do your thing. So while you're helping Siege, like, build up tents and stuff like that, they're out adventuring, making sure there's no monsters or anything like that that would seek to destroy the encampment. But you wouldn't have interacted with them. They were only there for a short time.
Alright. So I would have noticed them, but just nothing happened?
Exactly. And they wouldn't have necessarily noticed anything different about you, just because probably from their standpoint, they would have noticed that everybody is pretty much just a soldier, except for this Captain Raymond gentleman who went and grabbed them, and Siege, who they know already personally.
And then you said that Siege asked me with finding more out about the party as well as trying to recruit them?
Correct. So it has been Bella Light's interest to recruit them to Bella Light, but they have failed to go and answer the call because they've been worried about their own things right now. So this is pretty much your step into becoming a captain of Bella Light. Because right now you're just a member and they are initiates, although they might not know that they're initiates. Morveer, you know who Morveer is. He's a red tiefling. I think he's red. He's pink. He's a sort of pinkish red tiefling who is one of Siege's good friends. But Morveer is underneath Siege. Siege is an inner member of Bella Light, whereas Morveer is an outer circle member of Bella Light. So the outer circle get different instructions from the captains, who get different instructions from the members of the order. So the inner circle are usually dealt with more sensitive matters. You don't know exactly what Morveer's been up to, but you've seen him come and go. So the next time, like, Morveer appears, you would know who he is. You'd be like, Morveer. And then he'd be like, oh shit, it's Oswald. You have come up in the ranks, blah, blah, blah.
How would you spell Morveer's name?
It is Morvir.
Oh, I got that first try.
Solid.
Alright. See, what else? So, yesterday they had a amber stone,
Yes.
and can they communicate with it, or is it just simply, hey,
Yeah, the Amber Stone
meet
was
up
given
somewhere?
to them to know that they were meant to go meet somebody somewhere, but they didn't ever do it. They got the invitation saying, "Hey, come meet us here," and then they ignored it. You would Oswald would know that Bella Light uses these amber stones because they're pretty inconspicuous until they glow. When they glow, it's easy to just say, "Oh yeah, we use magic to sort of make it glow so we can see," or something like that. So it's Bella Light's way of, "Hey, we need you," but this also makes it to where people won't really be asking too many questions.
Right. But it just glows, meaning
Yeah,
meet me at the usual type
exactly.
message. Okay.
And you would know that that location is Melee Tower, but you've never been there yourself. Typically, the only people that meet at Melee Tower are inner circle members, as well as outer ring members.
But you said I have one of these stones, though, right?
No, you do not have a stone. You don't need one. You have Psy Siege.
Okay. Well, no, I asked you yesterday if I would have had one as well.
Oh, I thought you asked if you would have known what they were. Because yeah, there's
No
no
big deal.
reason
I
for
was
you
just
to
making
have
sure.
one.
Right, because I've been with them the whole.
Exactly. So, you know what it is, and the next time it glows, if it glows, I don't think it will glow, just because at this point,
They've ignored it, so yeah.
yeah,
Why bother?
and Psy Siege is entrusting you with recruiting them, which he'll end up talking to you in a way that the party doesn't see when it's time to recruit them.
Alright, and then I already know what the sending stone is.
Yep.
But you also said that Siege handed me a whistle before he went back to his fortress.
Yeah, so you've got a whistle. When you whistle, you hear the screech of an owl in the form of a glowing orb before it turns into an owl, and it has a sort of a scroll box on it that you can put a scroll in it and then tell it to go to Psy Siege, and it will fly up in the air, turn into a beam of light, and head directly into his direction.
Is there a limit how far it can travel, or it goes
No,
until it meets its destination?
Yeah, it goes until, but it's only between you and Psy Siege, as far as you know. You've never tried to use it with anyone else. The party also has one of these. Most notably, Jeff has one of those.
But my character's not supposed to know, though. You said.
Yeah.
And is the owl one way? Once it meets him, Siege himself would have to send one to me,
Correct.
or would this owl end up coming back?
Yeah, so like the whistle itself just calls upon this celestial owl. Other than that, you don't really know the whole properties to it.
Right, I just didn't know if the owl would come back. But okay, maybe I'll figure that out as the more I use it then.
Yeah. Okay. If you have any other questions, you can just send me a message. Other than that, I'm going to be getting off.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, I'll catch you later.
Appreciate the time for the one-on-one.
No problem, dude. And we'll see you later.
See you then.
Yep. All right, everybody. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and we will see you. Peace.